Rightio, now for our keynote speaker, Martin Morris, all the way from Centric. But we were talking about this earlier about, people get very overwhelmed with AI. They get confused about what is technology, is it a culture? And often people put the problem or the solution before the problem, like we often do. So it's good to have some practical insights into how you build a digital platform. So Martin, welcome to the stage.
Thank you very much.
Over to you, the button's in the middle.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. And thank you to Toby, IMAP, Jenny and the team for giving us an opportunity to speak and to be the principal sponsor, but more importantly for you, taking the time to listen to us sponsors and subject matter experts in some cases, because that's all very important that we can work together for a better outcome. So it's interesting, the presentation that we're going to do today, because I did it on Tuesday in Melbourne. And what was interesting as the morning went on, a lot of the themes in my presentation were already spoken about. And in fact, some of the things that Alan has just said are relevant to this presentation as well. So really though, I'm not here to tell you how to be a digital business. I'm not going to tell you how to go and hire a tech person. We're not here to write IT strategies or to give you any infrastructure on that basis. But a digital first business is actually the fabric of how you run your business. It's actually a cultural statement. And I know you're eating, but if you do nothing else from today's presentation, you've got access to all the slides. I've got a very quick half an hour of thought-provoking content to give you. But what I would say, go online and go onto Google and type what is a digital first business, and there's a plethora of information to help you. And if you're in a business, if you're a business owner, it'll probably be a really good 30 minutes of activity that would be worthwhile to your business, as well as what I'm going to show you today, which is to give you some insights and hopefully give you some interest. So I'm going to talk a little bit just for 2 minutes. This is not about how Centric runs a digital business. We're not here to sell Centric. I am here to give you some really good thought leadership. But I do need to place Centric in why are we doing that? What is it that we do? Then I'll look at what the statistics are saying. We'll look at how the advice industry, or have a chat about how the advice industry is embracing technology. I'll give you some insights into how you actually do create a business first, a digital first business. Because it isn't something you just spend 2 days in a room doing a strategy paper on. And then what are the indicators to get it right? Why should I do this? What does it mean to my business? And everything we've done on Tuesday and today about digitalization is really important. And I actually took some notes earlier. I'll find my piece of paper. Where Brent was, some of the things that Brent said this morning, where he said marriage or engaging is in the portfolio and your portfolio manager it's a marriage and it's not dating. It's costly and difficult to change and to move away from. And I don't think a statement can be more prevalent to technology as well as your asset consultants. They also talked about the culture of having a multifaceted, multi-advisor firm and everybody needing to be on board. As business owners, we've got to make asset choices, advice choices, compliance choices, and one of them is your technology choice, and your advisors have got to be on board. And therefore, it's important that we've got a culture as why we're doing it, how we're doing it, is everybody embracing it for the right reasons. And then when ASIC did their presentation this morning, they said that one of the things they're looking at is technology, and they're looking at robustness and resilience. All of those are about being a digital first business. So where does Centric fit in? So Centric is a platform. Centric as a business has two arms. It is a platform business and it's a funds management business. But we're here really just representing or talking today about technology, so I will focus on the platform side and mention a few things about the fund side as well. But what was the problem that they were looking to solve, or we were looking to solve? And that is the cost of advice is going up quicker than the cost of technology, and particularly platforms, was going down. Platforms are introducing technology all the time, but you're not seeing the relevant amount of cost saving being passed back to the client. We want to be able to offer more advice to more Australians. We want to be able to spend time with our clients. But if it's costing too much money, our clients don't want to spend time with us. But the problem is when you've got the average $1 million platform cost is about $2,000 if you're looking for a full service, that's a significant cost to a client on an annual basis. And then you're trying to put your advice fees on top. And then there's portfolio fees. So that was a problem that Findex, as our parent and advisors, were looking to do. The process was they engaged with advisors and clients, did workshops, and came up with a solution. And that was delivering a platform that could be a utility, still a full service wrap, but at a utility price, which says, you do what you do, but I don't want the platform cost to influence my relationship with my clients. We need it to be digital. We need it to be innovative. We need to be able to address scalable business solutions. And we came up with Centric in partnership with FNZ. And where we're at now, just to give you a position, is established in 2020. We've got about 15,000 clients or accounts, about $9 billion under management. What's really important as well in that process is the funds management side of the business that works with the Findex Advisory Group is one of the country's largest MDA operators, provides advice on MDA. And as part of that process, it needs to build portfolios. It needs to give access to different types of investments. It needs to make sure they're relevant to the market. They're going to deliver the risk and the return framework required. And they built specialist product to do so. But what they did do on top of that was build a niche MDA capability inside the platform to address it. So they found a problem. They didn't just solve the problem. They found a way to digitally solve it at scale. And that's what we want to do as business owners. When you think about the financial planning industry and you think about the statistics are compelling, the statistics are worrying, and the statistics are challenging to most business owners. There's a lot of stats on these slides, so you can get access through your download. You can ask us for them. We'll provide you to them. But I do want to just sort of address a couple here. 90% of the data in the world has been created in the last 2 years. 90%. And then look at the 99% of Australians accessed the internet in 2020. Only 3% of Australians aged 16 to 64 do not have a smartphone. Expectation is growing exponentially. How annoyed do you get when you go online to buy something and it's not available immediately? How frustrated do we now feel when our internet goes down? I still remember as a kid, we had the Spectrum Plus. We plugged the machine in, the cassette tape in, and it made all those horrible noises, and we thought that was amazing. You know, the video we had, and it had a big cord, and you could sit on the couch. We've come so much further, and every couple of years we're that further advanced. I'm going to make a challenge. I actually don't reckon that's happening in the financial services industry, and particularly in our platform space and our advice space. And that is, it's understandable, because I'm being very empathetic here, in how the advice industry embraces technology, because that's how I see it. I've been in the industry 33 years. My first 10 years in the UK was back in the Wild West. We didn't have a lot of technology. We were selling endowments and whole of lives back then. But coming to Australia and entering the platform market, and you go to conferences, and even back then, advisors were weighed down on what the advice choices were, the advice needs were, and then what the tech choices were to possibly solve them. Advisors go to things like this and they're excited in the morning. By the end, there's so much choice, there's so much to do, that they end up facing this and being stuck. And as Alan said just now, you've got to start somewhere. You've got to start and do something. But one of the problems in our industry, and this is, I don't know it's an easy solve, but this is just the advice tech. And you've seen many of these, right? We've seen fintech charts like this. You can look at RegTech charts like this. Some of them do lots of bits. Some of them just do small bits, but none of them integrate very well. And you have that on your shoulders, and I get it. It's terrible. And it's really, really hard, and you just don't know how to move forward. And now we've got AI scaring the hell out of everybody, because it's scaring your team because they think they're going to lose their jobs, scaring you because you don't know what AI is. ChatGPT is only $20 a month, but it scares the hell out of everybody. There's a huge amount of opportunity in AI, but where do we start? What do we look at? How do we get there? But what's the worrying factor is when you look at AI and you look at, I'll take my glasses off to see the exact stat, but 67% of people are maybe looking at AI. But look at how many on the right-hand side at the top are ready, and it's not many. Because we haven't looked at it, we don't know what we're doing, we don't know where to start. And a digital-first business, in a cultural sense, when I've explained it to you, will actually help you start that process. And the other side is you think about, which I was quite surprised with these stats. Now, these stats come from the Finura group. And if you don't know, and you're a business owner, Finura do an online tech health check. And it's free. And I'd suggest you go and do it. It's a really good tool. Just gets you a sense of where you are from a technology point of view in your business. But these are their results from advisors. They haven't just made these up. But only a very small amount of advisors in Australia actually actively use their client engagement investor portals. Now, we just saw from a marketing point of view in terms of communication, one of the best communication tools we've got is all that technology that we can use wisely. But what we've got to do is understand how are we going to use it. Oh, sorry, I'll go back. And one of the worries is these stats on the bottom. These are from the ABS, the Bureau of Statistics. Less than 50% of financial services businesses in Australia are innovative active. There's another index, which is the World's Innovation Index. Australia is only 24th on that index. Why is that a worry? Why should we be worried about it? 98% of businesses in Australia are SMEs. We're an entrepreneurial society, and if that doesn't sit very calmly and perfectly in this space, that SME space, that's what our industry is. 90% of our industry is made up of SMEs. And yet, we don't have an innovative culture. And if you look at the bottom stat, only 31% over what I would argue was a really tough time because we were going through COVID, is during that time of COVID, SMEs only introduced process improvement, or 31% of SMEs introduced process improvement. We were all forced, weren't we, during COVID to all be online and do Teams. As a sales manager, I had to change the way we were thinking about how we're KPIing our sales team, how we're interacting with our clients. What was the norm? What was accepted? What was a salesperson's excuse compared to the reality? And it changed overnight, and it changed for advisors. During COVID, and this is a bit of a challenge, and I don't mean to insult those in the room, but during COVID, everyone had to deal online, and as soon as we were back, everyone went, well, clients don't like being online, or not all my clients. But look what the banking industry has done with AI, with online digital. It didn't make it a choice. It just said, if you want these services and you want them at this price, this is what we're going to have to do. And as an industry, they've rushed into it, successfully rushed into it. And clients are more than happy to go online and do their banking. They were more than happy during COVID because they needed something, and if they had to do it online, they would. But what it comes down to, though, is not forcing it upon them, but educating them, understanding why we're doing it. And having a digital-first business culture is the way to do it. So you've got an opportunity in terms of how do you embrace technology. But quick question, if you're still awake listening to me, and lunch and everything else, what is the only resource you cannot buy more of? Time. It is a finite resource. You can't layer it, you can't do anything. You can buy more people, you can get more clients, you can have more money. You cannot buy more time. And time is a resource in your business, which I get it, particularly where you're a business owner, because there's not many truly corporatized IFAs where the owner does not see clients. So you've got a time. I want to see my clients. This is how I built my business. The fabric of the business was built around me. I might be transitioning out, but I still want to see my good clients. Well, that's time out. You lost time. You've got no time to run your business when you're sitting with a client. So how do you do that? How do you get this time? And it's about creating a digital first business. So firstly, what is a digital first business? And that is, at the top of the tree is your client. You are adding more value and exceeding expectations. Your client comes first. The whole focus is on solving client problems. If you put that at the top of your decision tree, your business, and you're not focused on technology, then that is your sole focus. You're looking to solve your clients' problems, their retirement strategies, their debt strategies, their accumulation strategies, their estate planning, their problems. You've then got the communication, the total engagement, the client experience. They're all problems you're trying to solve for your client. You need, as a digital first business, once you've put the client at the top of the tree, and that's what's really important about being a digital first business, is we're not removing the human aspect, we're putting it at the top. We're making it our priority. But what are we not being clouded by? The technology. Because we know there's technology. I've just shown you a chart full of technology providers. There was a chart full of marketing providers. There's a lot of fintechs and regtechs. There's tech. We know there's tech. But you've got a choice. We can be the cart before the horse or the tail wagging the dog, whichever analogy you want for it. Do you want to look at the shiny toy and be faced with AI and think, how does AI solve my problem? What is this going to do? Or how can I use AI? Be inquisitive. A platform provider turns up with a BDM and they tell you about their new tools and you're like, wow, how do I do that? How do I use that? At a business level, it only matters if it solves a problem you've got. Remove the noise, remove the shiny toy syndrome by knowing there's going to be a technology solution. But the first thing to do is just work out what are the problems I'm solving. And then finally, and this has been mentioned on a number of occasions today, it has to be a business-wide culture. It isn't solved by a principal being a leader. It isn't solved by a high D or an extrovert that's going to lead everybody into battle. Because we don't have time to do that. So the best way to do it, and those successful businesses, which I'll show you some stats, that have embraced this as a cultural concept, not just a belief system. It's not about platforms or me selling Centric to you. As I said, go and look this up. McKinsey do lots of analysis on this. If you create this infrastructure where you get everybody in your business believing that they should be digital first, making sure they understand what it means, you will layer your time because you'll have everybody working on the same problems all the time, every day, every minute. Every time they're doing something, they'll be thinking, is there a better way I can be doing this? This is a problem, it's creating friction, what do I do? But there is generally not the culture of this in small business because we just want to get to our end goal and there's always dominant personalities in the process. So how do you see, I've said some of these, I'll just go through this because I'm just conscious of time, but how do you create this digital first business? And that is having that business vision. They're no different here than some of the things that you would have probably seen when I think BD Shares did a presentation on practice management tools, and you can see them till the cows come home in terms of opportunity. Everyone knows how to write a business plan of sorts. But it's a business vision. What's your hedgehog concept? If you're good to great, what do you want to be the best at? What does your ideal client look like? What problems are you solving? If you don't have that defined in your business and your fabric of your staff don't know that, they can't help you. They're waiting for you to tell them what the outcomes are. Team development is all about getting your team. This is about making sure you motivate your staff, motivate your team, make sure they understand it. You also need to make sure that your business is what it is today. Imagine 5 years ago, and imagine what we're going to be in 5 years. And after I said about the data, how are you preparing your business to navigate the next 5 years Your clients want to come on board with you and navigate through to retirement. And I'm sure many of you in the room will want to be selling your business in 5, 10 years' time. How do you make sure you get maximum value? It's not having an articulated business plan, I can tell you. It's actually about having a fabric that someone wants to buy and they can pick it up straight away. They can see it. They've got a engaged team they want to bring on board. They want to morph their business into yours and not the other way round. The other side is this data. 90% of data has been created in the last 20 years. I read a thing ages ago and it said that if you captured all the data on the internet over a 12-month period and watched it, it would take 28,000 years. It's extraordinary. But how much data do you have in your business that you utilize or don't utilize? I've done the industry 33 years. I've been a planner. I've done licensing management, a lot of time in distribution. During my time as licensing management, I was there for about 3.5 years. I turned up a licensee where they did no client surveys, not one. Client survey is a data point. You might not like the answers. We've just done one. There's some compelling discussion points in there. But if you don't know where your starting point is, you can't be curious about data and you can't use it. You can't put a line in the sand and you can't move forward. And there was, I don't know if BetaShares had their presentation today with the iceberg, and you think about the iceberg, think about it in this way, that's a client engagement iceberg and clients only see what's underwater. Sorry, only see what's above the water. They don't see what's underwater. So all the work that you're doing that's underwater, that you're not putting in a client engagement framework, you're not using the data to work out how you get more of the iceberg above the water. You just keep doing the same thing and the same thing. And when we did the client surveys, we got a couple of key data points that I asked. Firstly, what's your overall satisfaction rating? Often 80%. People stay with their advisor and they like their advisor and they're filling in surveys. They're generally going to have a good result. Would you refer? Would normally get about 50 to 60% of people said, yes, I would refer. The final question, which was the most poignant question, have you referred in the last 12 months? Was always 1 or 2%. Why? Because we haven't focused on the client engagement bit. We haven't used that data. We haven't spoken to our clients about why they're not referring. We haven't spoken to our clients really about how they enjoy the process, what they want. We think about how we're going to deliver our advice, put ourselves in our client's shoes, think about their client engagement, what they're wanting, what their problems are. And it's challenging. We've got some challenges, but we're going to challenge them. I'm here to challenge them. But I've got to be curious and I've got to be open to the data. And some of it hurts. Some of it's great, but it's amazing data points that we should have. And just a client survey is easy. The other one is when you've got newsletters and you're doing your comms, how many people are opening your newsletter? Do they read your newsletter? Which bits are they reading? These are just simple data points. Then you've got all your financial services software that you can access data. But if you're not curious about your data and and I get that you need to be curious about doing your plans and legislation, and I get it. But you're not alone. You've got an empowered team that work for you who know more than you do about your client interactions. They know more than you do about the platform. They know more than you do about most of the interactions they have on a day-to-day basis. Being curious about data is mobilizing everybody to be curious about data and understanding how long things are taking, why they're taking that long. And these are some of the benefits of being a digital-first business. Again, I won't read too many of them out. But if you have a look, you've got enhanced staff engagement, increased efficiency and productivity, optimization of resourcing, and enhanced client engagement. This isn't me saying up here after 33 years that I'm the cleverest person in the room, because I'm not. It's just research. I'm curious about data, and my team are constantly getting research reports from me, constantly challenging, do we know this? Do we know this? What are we doing about this? Because if we don't challenge ourselves to be better, and we don't understand this stuff, we can't add this. We need more client engagement at Centric. We need more staff engagement at Centric, guaranteed. And we need the data points to be able to prove it and to be able to bring people on the journey, make them understand. Because customer loyalty, if you get it right, there's a 23% premium in share of wallet over those who don't. But customer loyalty is built by the engagement process, but the customer experience, which is what I was telling you before. The customer experience is the buyer's journey is a cognitive buying process that people got to go through, which means they don't end up with buyer's remorse. You go through that too quickly, you haven't educated your client, you haven't taught your client, you haven't told them why they should be online, you haven't told them how to engage with you, how to get the best out of you as an advisor. And I don't mean your technical advice, because I'm going to draw a line in the sand, and I assume that is top notch. I'm talking about the stuff that they see, which is you, how they engage you and your business. And that is really important. They need an emotional connection. And in all the sales jobs I've done where we failed, it's because there's no emotional connection and the buyer's journey's gone wrong. And you'll have seen it with many platforms. They have good moments and bad moments, and they lose their sight. And when they bring it back on, it's because they've focused on this. Oh, sorry, went the wrong way. Again, I won't go through this too much because the stats and the time, but I'll leave you to read these. But they're quite off. They're obvious, right? So why should customer loyalty be your number one goal? But that centric first. That can be centric first, of course. But digital first business idea, right, is what are the profit indicators of getting this right? They're not just about your business. And I'll give you one profit indicator, which is relevant to today and relevant to what you're doing with managed accounts. Is at my past life at Praemium, we did research with business health. And those practices that had engaged in managed accounts for more than 3 years and had more than 75% of their clients on managed accounts had over 85% more profit than those who didn't. But managed accounts on its own is an efficient way to run an investment portfolio. What most of those that have embraced this have also moved to challenger platforms with better client engagement, with better reporting. They've engaged and they've worked towards a better outcome. And often, the businesses that have succeeded the most are those that actually are client first, digital first. We saw on Tuesday a chap called Ty Cockle in Melbourne Financial Foundations, and they've worked through the managed account process. And the biggest thing that he said why they were successful was that they worked out what their client problem was, what their problems they were solving. They engaged their team to come in and talk about it. They worked out what they needed to do, and then they went out and found the solution. And that's all about that client. What are we doing? So what are the profit indicators of getting it right? I'll leave you to look at these. But the business planning, remember that operational efficiency statement that I made? Only 30% of SMEs have made any real innovation, process innovation, between 21 and 23. So my question is, if you've made process innovation, I don't mean change platforms, I mean made process innovation. Great. But the question and the challenge is, how did you do it? Was it successful? We did a big, massive platform change in our business in a past life. And the biggest thing was that there was no real process taken to do the practice, just did a platform review, all at a high level, didn't include staff, didn't include their clients in the process, and the transition was a disaster because no one was on the same journey. But if you do start looking at these things, and I said I'll leave you to get these stats because we're running out of time. Have a look at the presentation. But seeking client feedback is 90% increase in profit for those who don't. Getting client value proposition correct, documented, is 107%. Sorry, I'm struggling to see my stats here. Connecting that with staff feedback is 250% uplift, particularly if you get somebody from an external party to come in and work with you. I don't need to stand up here and wax lyrical because I'm Marty Morris and I've been in the business for 33 years. This isn't my ego telling you what I think. These are just my research based on when I joined Centric, where I feel we needed to be, where we need to be in 3 to 5 years. And I think we need to embrace this. And then I wrote a piece and then we've been rolling this out to advisory firms. This is us, we're on this journey as well. We've got a hedgehog concept about what we think we can be best at. But That's a 3 to 5 year journey. But if you work on what problems you're solving, do it in small components, whether it be the marketing side, whether it be looking at AI. Don't start with AI. Start with get your team in a room and tell them what is the worst part of your day, which bits do you not like doing. Make sure you've got the right team that's going to drive that digital innovation in your business, because that's often a big issue. I don't mean sack anybody. But I mean, when you get the chance and you are recruiting, make sure you're recruiting in the right way for the right skills. Because if we focus purely on the technicalities of advice, clients don't buy the technicalities of advice. They're buying you and your client engagement model. Thank you very much.
Quick questions? Yep.
Before we run off, any questions for Martin?
Sorry.
So we saw Alan talking about a couple of the techniques that are digital in the session immediately before yours, Martin. You didn't talk so much about that side of it, the digital communication, but where does that fit in your view of a client-first digital organisation?
Again, looking at AI, we get scared of AI because of the enormity of what the implications of AI are. And we think we don't know what we're doing. But actually, from a digital communication point of view, let's say you want to write newsletters, ChatGPT. There's marketing AI programs. They're not very expensive. There's opportunities to, there's a couple of groups that will help you understand how to get the best SEO outcomes if you want. So the question just comes, what's the problem you're solving? There will always be a digital solution for it, 100%. But the problem is, if you're looking at what AI programs there are, you're trying to work it out on the fly. So the question comes down, in your business, where's the bit of resource that's missing that you don't have? What skills do you have? The foundation skills outside of, as well as financial planning, what's the skills that you've got in your business? Where's the skills gap? That can be plugged by really clever tech. Now, I get what I said earlier, which is a bit of a misnomer, that I said tech doesn't talk to each other. Because also you do need to be careful that you're not just layering tech on tech on tech, because that's good, that's good, that's good. Which is why you need a really good understanding of the true problem you're solving, what you're trying to achieve over 3 to 5 years, and make sure it all works. There's plenty of research that talks about the average tech stack in a financial planning business in Australia is 15 different pieces of technology that do not talk to each other. We've got a massive issue in Australia with data feeds. And you go to the UK and go to US, they start, and actually IBM said this, I don't know if they weren't presenting this morning, were they? Did they? This morning? No, that was Tuesday. And they said when they get a new client come on board, the first thing they say is, we want to be AI ready. That's their starting point. Whatever we do, we want AI to be at the forefront of what we're doing. And that's a culture, that's a concept. That's same as being digital first. And that's, if you do that, you'll sit down, look at your business, you'll be able to map the fabric, not just do a threads in Xplan, to work out what you've got to do to push paper out and to get the fact find done and the effort, get all those are given. But the other things in the business are actually, how do you enhance client relationship? Because guarantee you, your clients are not telling them, their friends and family, about your SOA. They're telling you about how they get access to the information, how quick it was, what it achieved. The experience you give them is what they refer. And that's what those tools will deliver if you do it correctly.
Okay, thank you, Martin. I think we're right. Toby, thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Well done, mate. Well done. Thank you.